Good evening, it's 8 o'clock. I'm Sally Burdett, live from Johannesburg. Your top stories this evening.
He asked us to massage his feet.
An exclusive report from Durban. A young woman who was a dancer in the Jesus Dominion Church alleges she too was preyed upon by Pastor Timothy Omotoso. Contractor claims their project has delivered water to some villages in Limpopo, but the people living there have a different story. And police remain on high alert after 7 men were taken into custody in Witbank in the Western Cape for public violence. As the trial of televangelist Timothy Omotoso unfolds in the Eastern Cape High Court, more details of what may have been going on at the Jesus Dominion Church are starting to emerge. The first witness in the rape trial, Cheryl Zondi, gave testimony that she was sexually groomed and raped by the pastor from the age of 14. Now, the trial's been postponed until Monday, when more witnesses are expected to testify. But today, a young woman who says she was convinced to join the church in 2012, has spoken to our reporter Dessen Thathia. He joins us now from Durban, where the church is based. Good evening to you, Dessen. Tell us about this woman. I believe she's in her 20s. Why has she agreed to speak? She's not on the witness list, we must stress.
That's right, Sally, she's not, but she says that she too was at one of the houses owned by Timothy Omotoso, and she spent just a week there. But she spoke to us, I think, mostly because she was inspired by the strength of Cheryl Zondi, who's been on the stand in the past week, and she decided to tell her story of how she was almost lured, she says, to join this church in 2012 while she was registering to be a student at a university, and she was asked by her roommate to come along. And initially, she had very little interest in joining this church. She attended only 3 services, she says, in the first year. But what really attracted her was the opportunity to be a part of the church choir, but also to become a dancer, because she was a performing artist, and that's where her interest lay.
Now, Nozipho Chilize is her name. It's interesting how we see often in rape trials where the alleged incidents happened many years before. Often we have people coming forward after the fact, or coming forward, and the only thing that corroborates is similarity of testimony. Now, this woman was not raped, but she had an incident in 2016. Talk us through that.
That's right. In fact, in the first 3 years or so of her being a part of this church, all she did was really attend the services. She then traveled with the choir, she went overseas, but it was in 2016 that she was invited to the home of Timothy Omotoso, one of the homes that he was renting in the upmarket suburb of Umhlanga, north of Durban. And she was told by him personally to come to that house. Now, this is her version, and these are the claims that she's making. And when she went to that house, she just spent a week there. And if you listen to this interview, you'll understand why.
He asked us to massage his feet. Okay, we did that, we massaged the feet and fine. I'm alone now with this man. I'm massage all over the body and stuff. Okay, I did that. And then Wakumul was okay. As Tandas, he took his Bible and put it on my head. And then he prayed. And then he said, I should now go down and him. I said, no, I cannot do that. And then I jumped out of the bed, and then I left.
Quite disturbing what she's talking about. These obviously are her claims. She's not going to be called to testify, as far as we understand. Also today, you've been to the site of the church in Durban and also to the homes in Umhlanga where the pastor has stayed. Tell us more about what people are telling you.
That's right. So just for some context here, Sally, the original church, or the one that the congregants had spent the most time in, is in Mbilo in Durban. And they are no longer there. There's now a site that's been bought on the north coast of KZN near Belito. And we visited both those sites. At the first one, I spoke to one of the people that works in that building. It's actually now, ironically, there's another church in that very same building. And I spoke to a gentleman there, and one of the stories that he told me, look, he didn't want to go on camera. That was one of the challenges that my colleague Sandile Makubela and I had, was that people didn't want to speak on camera. But one of the disturbing things that he alleged was that during his time there, he'd seen a young lady standing outside the church screaming, and she had taken her clothes off. And he claims that not long after she had caused the scene outside, that she was taken away by a group of men, wrapped in a blanket and taken upstairs to the church, and he never saw her again. And that's one of the things that he said. When we visited the other site, the latest site, where we understand that services are still being held, obviously with a different pastor, that was just really a tent on this vacant plot of land. But there wasn't really anyone there except two men. And they said that, well, they had a problem with us being there firstly, and then referred us to the Jesus Dominion Church. We tried to get in touch with the secretary there. She put us off, didn't want to do any interviews. But let me get quickly to the houses in Mhlanga.
Yes.
And we visited those as well. There were three. There were three rented at separate times, and that is where these girls were allegedly kept during this period. And the neighbors there said that they do remember that buses would arrive late at night. Young girls would jump off this bus with bags, get in there. Some of them reported that there were disturbances late at night. It sounded like there was a party going on. At other times, other neighbors said that they were singing very early in the morning. At about 4 o'clock in the morning, they'd be awoken by very beautiful singing, as one neighbor said. So singing and parties. Very few of them suspected that anything was actually going on. Yes.
Singing, parties, but no real suspicions that something was going on. Desinthantha, thank you very much. Of course, these are the allegations, the claims made by neighbors and former congregates. And that, of course, relates to the trial, which resumes on Monday, of Timothy Omotoso. Let's move now to Limpopo, where a project designed to bring clean water to 55 villages in Guyana has stalled. The project's been dogged by irregular awarding of tenders and contractual disputes. Construction company Katu Civil, which was working on the Guyana bulk water project, says it's had no choice but to retrench some 500 employees. Greater Guyana is, of course, one of the municipalities that invested money with the VBS Mutual Bank, which is now under curatorship. Well, earlier, Katu Civil CEO Mongezi Mnyani spoke to my colleague Duruzile Ramela about the project.
We've been working there now since 2015. To date, we have laid almost 95% of those pipes, and already 21 villages, as of August, they've been connected. They're now getting water from the new infrastructure we've put. But unfortunately, we've had problems with the Department of Water and Sanitation. Since August last year, there's been a series of non-payments on time.
So which villages where water has been restored? Our team on the ground in Limpopo.
The town is connected now. Part of the town is connected. Another 20 or so villages have been connected.
Can you give us maybe 2, 3?
There's in Somo, there's in Same village that also have been connected.
Well, so claims there that 21 villages in Guyana are connected by that company. Our reporter Kathy Motlatlana has been in Tomo to find out if that's actually what villages are experiencing.
We're in Tomo village to verify claims that have been made by Katu Civils. This is the company that was responsible for implementing a water infrastructure and sanitation project in Guyana to 55 villages. They've already received over 2 billion rand of that money for this project. But according to the Water Affairs Department, that's what was in the budget vote, the department has already spent 3.5 billion rand on this project. Tomo has been listed by Katu Civils as one of 21 villages which have already benefited from the project. Well, let's find out from the leaders of the tribal authority here in Tomo. I'm joined by Shiviti Mbazima. Ntate Shiviti, have you received water? Katu Civil says that your village is a beneficiary of this water project and that you have access to water. Have you received water from them?
No, we didn't receive water from Katu. The main water which we are getting here is from the former Gazankulu government. Like, you can see that the pipe has been laid out just outside the villages that are leading to the reservoirs.
We have been struggling to verify that list that was given by Katu Civils. Kathy Motlatlana, I'm out in Guyana, Limpopo.
Retired Judge Robert Nugent says its suspended SARS Commissioner Tom Moyane must be urgently removed. And this is why he's made a recommendation to the President before the Commission has finished its work. The Commission, of course, tasked with getting to the bottom of irregularities at the tax authority.
We think it is urgent because it is only halfway through the tax year. And if you're going to lose more tax while you're sitting around waiting, simply because to wait for the end date by which we have to report finally, well, there are going to be consequences. And that's why we said you should act now, and that's the decisive action you should take. Whether the President does so is his prerogative. Now, perhaps you can debate, if you like, those conclusions, whether they ought to have been reached and so forth. Well, debate that if you will. But that was our view. And that is the view we stick with, and we won't go back to that in the final report because it's been reported on finally. As far as we are concerned, the present commissioner should be removed as early as possible and a new commissioner put in.
Service delivery protests have reached an all-time high this year. By the end of last month, South Africa had seen 198 protests compared to 191 in 2014. Now that's according to Municipal IQ, which is a specialized local government data and intelligence organization. They collect data on service delivery protests. Today in the Western Cape, residents of Witbank embarked on violent protests. They're demanding a community hall be built. They say they submitted a memorandum to the local council, but they've not received a response. Police remain on high alert after 7 men aged between 16 and 33 years old were taken into custody for public violence. To the Mpumalanga township of Mhluzi, police have arrested a man in connection with the murder of an unidentified young woman. It's alleged the suspect went on the run in the early hours of Wednesday morning after murdering the woman. Now, residents discovered her body and went on the rampage, looting and vandalizing foreign-owned shops. Police have asked shop owners to pack up and vacate the town of Middelburg in Mpumalanga after the violent protests. Stay with us on eNews. We'll get the latest on the fate of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi, now widely believed to have been killed in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. Turkish investigators say they have evidence. And your money news with Matteo.
Well, not a great day on the market today. Bankers down and retailers as well, and the rand also retreating.
Let's talk money now with Matteo Kharipa. In fact, we're talking about the cost of data, a big market inquiry. As we know, countries that have low data costs, economies tend to grow quicker.
Definitely, there's a lot of access for entrepreneurs to look for other clients online and also for people to apply for jobs online. This is a big problem for job seekers as well in South Africa, especially those that don't come from very urban areas, in rural areas in South Africa. And that was the discussion around today, to say for South Africans to actually really afford data, it should be at 15 Rand per gig. Otherwise, the majority of South African society will not be able to afford
15 Rand. And how much is it at the moment?
149.
Oh my word.
That's MTN, Vodacom and Cell C. Telkom has it about 99 Rand. And there's a new entrant that's come in from Stellenbosch that's currently having it at 50 Rand per gig. And that is covers about 33 million South Africans that would be spending over 40% of their income if it was 50 Rand a gig. So, but MTN also trying to remind that commission to say that they shouldn't over-regulate the space because they are the one providing the spectrum.
Please do not try to over-regulate the industry. We have like a plethora of basically of use cases around when you've got too much regulation. Please, let me also be very clear. That's why we're saying over-regulate. Everything has to be regulated. Okay, I'm not going to talk about the OTTs.
Well, just out of interest, other economies in Egypt is about 15 Rand already. And in Tanzania and Ghana as well, it's about 32 Rand per gig. So South Africa is still far behind in terms of that data services being cheap.
It certainly seems so. A long way to go there. Talk us through the markets today.
Tough day on the market today. Bankers as well as retailers and also industrial stocks quite down today. Naspers retreating, and that caused a bit of a trouble for industrials, down more than 0.5%. Financials also tracking back as the rand started to weaken. Mining shares were up today, and we saw gold up more than 0.5%, and platinum was down marginally, with resources closing off a bad day for resources there as well. In commodity prices, gold still a haven for investors as equities are bad at the moment. It's at $1,227 per ounce there, and platinum was down marginally, with Brent crude keeping low at $79.90 a barrel. A stronger dollar, bringing some trouble for the rand today at 14.43 against the greenback at 16.54, as the Reserve Bank in the US saying they are willing to hike interest rates. It's at 18.81 now against the pound.
Thank you so much, Mutea. Let's take a look at a little item of international news now. And Turkish investigators say they have evidence that journalist Jamal Khashoggi was killed inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. They found fingerprints, they say, and an audio recording pointing to the fact that his body was moved out of the mission. Authorities are linking the alleged crime to 15 Saudi individuals. They say they will release full details once the investigation is concluded. Still ahead, we got your weather with Joel Guy. Hi there, Joel, standing by in Cape Town. And then, would you pay for a shredded artwork? Well, it seems someone did. Well, the weekend is just one sleep away. Let's find out how the weather's shaping up. Joel Guy, good evening. I believe there's some rain in store for us in Gauteng later on.
Yes, indeed, Sally. There will be some thunderstorms for you on Saturday, but Friday is going to be sunny and pretty hot for the province. Now, here's what you can expect for your Friday. We are going to start off with this cold front introducing light rain and drizzle into the southwest coastline, and that just in interior, spreading the wet weather into the south coast as we head towards sunrise on Friday. It will be mostly fine for the bulk of the country, but further east, we start off the day with quite a lot of cloud and fog patches for parts of Gauteng, Limpopo and the Mpumalanga province. Then as we head towards the afternoon hours, we are going to see rainy weather spreading into the Eastern Cape and also spilling into southern KwaZulu-Natal. It will be cooler for the southern areas, but we are expecting mostly sunny skies and very warm to hot afternoon temperatures over the central, northwestern and eastern parts of South Africa, including the interior of KwaZulu-Natal. Then late on Friday evening, we will see rainy weather spreading into much of KwaZulu-Natal. Now, quickly looking at what you can expect for your part of the country, it's going to be sunny and hot for the bulk of the Northern Cape, with highs in the mid-30s for the northern sections. Isolated rain showers are forecast for parts of the Western Cape. Cape Town could see a few sprinkles around sunrise and will be dry in the afternoon, warming to around 20 degrees. We are also going to see rain showers for much of the Eastern Cape, where top temperatures in the lower to mid-20s are expected. The southern parts of KwaZulu-Natal could also see a few sprinkles of rain. The rest of the province will be mostly sunny and warm to hot. A mostly sunny and warm day is forecast for the bulk of Mpumalanga. It will be partly cloudy and hot for the Limpopo province, Polokwane warming to around 28 degrees. We stay with mostly sunny skies across the northwest, where highs in the lower to mid-30s are expected. The Free State should also see mostly sunny skies, hot for Bloemfontein and Welkom. Gauteng is going to be hot on Friday with mostly sunny skies also expected for the province. Now, just quickly looking to your Saturday, we are going to see thunderstorms over the northeastern parts of the country with sunny skies for the western sections.
Thank you so much, Joel Guy. So we do have some thunderstorms coming in for Johannesburg and Gauteng later this weekend. But finally, an update on a bizarre art story. Artists are often associated with eccentricity and pushing the limits. Well, last week, a painting by British artist Banksy went on auction at Sotheby's in London. The artwork, titled Girl with Balloon, was sold for nearly 20 million rand. But onlookers gasped in shock when upon the sale the painting was sucked into a hidden shredder. Sotheby's now says that painting's bizarre transformation didn't actually go according to plan. The artwork was meant to be shredded in full. The London auction house says the artwork has since been granted a certificate by the artist Banksy and renamed Love Is in the Bin. And in case you were wondering, the female bidder went ahead and paid the 20 million rand for the shredded artwork. Before we go, a final recap of our top story. An exclusive report from Durban. A young woman who was a dancer in the Jesus Dominion Church alleges she too was preyed upon by Pastor Timothy Omotoso. From me and the team, it's a very good night.